Hello and welcome to FDS. My name is Nate and I'm your host. Today we are talking about cutting down on the salt. If you came to this video looking for actual dietary advice, I apologize. I'm talking about the term saltiness or salty or general synonym for being cranky or a jerk while playing a game. It's used a lot in the Magic the Gathering community, so I thought I would talk a little bit about it because all of us have gotten salty from time to time, and I thought it might be a good idea to chat a little bit about how you can cut down a little bit on being salty. Now, we've all been there. We've been in a situation where we feel that we've been unfairly targeted, or we're just not winning any games, or maybe we just are having a bad day and just something doesn't go the way we expected them to, and you lash out. You get that feeling inside. You know, for me, it's a kind of a swimming feeling in my head, just ready to... On the flip side, we've all had evenings ruined because somebody else decided to lash out because they got salty. If you're finding that you're having some trouble with being a little cranky or salty or lashing out, then this video may help. It all comes down to perspective, and I wanted to talk about a couple of tips on different ways you can use perspective to calm down a little bit when you're playing Magic the Gathering. Tip number one is take the perspective of your opponent. Let's say there's a situation where you've been taken out of a game of Commander, or you've been targeted by somebody who get you down under 10 life total. Before you get upset and feel that you're being unfairly targeted, take a second and reevaluate the situation. For example, did you just get your commander out and did you get a win condition on the board right before you were taken out of the game? That's a situation where if the roles were reversed, you probably would have done the same thing. If your opponent got their commander out and got a win condition on the board and you had an answer, maybe even an answer that takes them out of the game, you're probably going to take it. Even if they're playing the exact same deck as you, you're not going to sit there and go, oh, I know what he's doing, I'm just gonna go let him do it. No, you're gonna stop it. Being a little frustrated that they happen to have the answer, that's okay, but don't take it out on your opponent. Another example is when you are targeted by a particular opponent. Did you happen to target them earlier in the game? Is this just a reprisal? It's in situations like these that you need to remember that your opponents are trying to win as well. It's not a situation where you're playing Sparky, an AI opponent who might purposefully make bad plays. No, you're playing opponents who want to win the game as well. And if they have an answer to something you just did, even if it's something that you really wanted to do, well, they had an answer. It's always a good idea to take the perspective of your opponent. My second tip also has to do with perspective, but this time it's taking a different perspective on yourself. If you're getting frustrated because you're having a hard time winning, your opponent always seems to be able to pull out the win before you're able to get your deck going. Or you find yourself saying, well, the only reason you won is because you got good draws and I got nothing. If you find yourself saying that after every time you lose, you need to reevaluate your deck and your play. Because if your deck relies on your opponent getting bad draws, then you're running a bad deck. Or worse, if you as a player rely on your opponent getting bad draws, then you need to improve as a player. I'm not saying this to be mean. I'm saying it because I want you to be a better player. And if you realize that maybe your deck needs some tweaking, work on it. Figure out why it's not working. Take every loss as a learning experience. Yes, sometimes it's going to be the luck of the draw. Your opponent is going to get a perfect starting hand and will be pulling the perfect card they need every turn. That's going to happen, but that's not going to happen every game. If you find yourself saying that every loss is because your opponent's really lucky, I hate to tell you, but I think you need to reevaluate either your deck or your play. And if it's not the deck, if you know the deck is a good deck, it's a deck that you found on the web, what am I, 1984? If it's a deck that you found online and you know it's a tournament winning deck and you're still not winning games, well, then maybe you need to watch some of those games and see how the deck is piloted. See if you're maybe not getting the interactions right. Maybe there's a synergy in there that you didn't recognize right off the bat and you need to go back and reevaluate it. There are a lot of things you can do to improve your own play and improve your own deck building skills. All right, that brings me to tip number 3, and this is pretty standard. I think everybody kind of expects this at this point, but it's important to keep the perspective that this is a game. This is something we do for fun. And yes, winning is fun. It is. I also recognize that I'm not a tournament player. So if you're a tournament player, then obviously this doesn't carry as much weight as the other two should. But I just like to play the game. Whether I'm winning or losing, I just enjoy it. You can learn from your losses, and that can be interesting and fun too. And even if it isn't winning, even if it's just you wanted to try to get a particular combo to go off, or you just played your favorite card and your opponent just blasted it, remember, you can play another game. There will be other games. You can play again. There will be other opportunities to play and other opportunities to win. There also will be an opportunity to click on that. This show is part of the CIP network, inspiring creativity, one episode at a time.